no more than what's probably in this room, maybe a couple more. Maybe 24 people. They were seated in a circle on the ground. No plushy pews, no stained glass windows. This was just the bare minimum. But they sat on the ground and they were singing praises, like we sang this morning. And as they sang, I saw each voice rise upward and inward in this circle. It was about 30 feet across. So each voice became like a spiritual teepee pole. And these poles all came up together and they became one voice. And then I was taken up in the air about 100 feet in this vision. And this was an open vision in the daytime. I was standing in front of a class about this size teaching. I was out in Oregon. And in this vision, I was taken up about 100 feet. And I saw this voice, this single voice then, had come together because their thoughts and their praises were together. And as this single voice wafted upward, there was a giant face about 50 feet across. And it breathed in this voice through its nostrils. And I found several days later in the scriptures where it talks about, the prayers ascend like an incense. And this giant face breathed in this single voice, and it was pleased, and I saw a slight smile on his face. Then I was shown downward, and I saw these people again in this circle, and in this circle there was perfect light, just like the brightest light of noonday sun. And they were all contented, and they were at peace. And then I was shown that immediately outside of this cone of light, there was chaos. The air was filled with chaos. There was violence everywhere. There was a thick smoke that you couldn't see through. There was gunfire. There was explosions. There was screaming. Once in a while, with a real sharp explosion, I could just dimly make through the smoke. I could see people standing over other people, killing them. And that was the end of the vision. But the visions and things I've seen, a lot of people see just destruction. But God has also shown me that there is another way. It's same as he shows this, and there's that dramatic demarcation, this difference and so on. He also shows me the good thing. And so a couple years after that, I was really studying. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw Christ. And he was sitting in a chair, just a regular, a chair like maybe Art's in, only it was wood. And or appeared to be just like a plain oak chair, with arms on it. And he sat there, like this. And I was standing about from here to Gale, maybe a little closer. And I was standing up and I was talking about Barbara and the kids and so on. And just to most people it seemed like trivial things. But I'll never forget the love that he had and the look on his face as he sat there and he was interested in everything about me. These little things, as I just stood up and I was just talking about the family. I don't remember exact things, but I was just talking about common things, the family, my wife, and so on. And he was totally interested in everything about me. And so I was so relaxed with my Lord and my Master that as I stood there, I was kind of looking around and I was talking. He's sitting there listening to me. And I said, "When are you coming?" And he said, "I'll be there in 13 minutes. And I said, "What?" And, I realized, here I'm speaking to the very God himself. And I'm just demanding this answer, And I said, "What?" And he didn't get angry and he didn't scold me. But he just said more firmly, he said, "I'll be there in 13 minutes. Now, whatever that is according to his schedule, I don't know. But and then my mind was flooded. See, I'd been sleeping. My mind was flooded with testimonies and things I'd heard about people seeing a clock and, it was quarter till or 5 till or whatever else. And even the scientists have developed what they call an atomic clock on how close we are to the end of civilization. And it's very close. very close. But as I'm thinking about these things and so on, I said to him, and I'm starting to wake up out of the dream state, but I'm still tied enough to him that I can ask the question, how is it possible that your coming can be this soon? Okay, now this is in the late 70s, okay? I want you to remember this. How is it possible that your coming can be this soon when you yourself have said, there's going to be wars all over the place. There's going to be rumors of wars all over the place. There's going to be floods. There's going to be pestilence. There's going to be plagues. There's going to be diseases. There's going to be economic collapses. Churches and people will separate. Families will split. And Lord, right now I don't see any of this happening. So how can your coming be this soon? And by this time, I'm fully awake, and I'm laying in bed looking up at the ceiling, and I'm saying, how is it possible your coming can be this soon? And between me and the ceiling, a banner floats. And on the banner, it's like a ticker tape. And it said, the hastening time. And you know, when you got a hold of the Lord, you want to ask him all the questions you can, you know. And so I said, what does a hastening time mean? And then an audible voice. Started out with a dream, then the vision of the ticker tape, I guess you can call it, the banner. And then an audible voice says, time itself will be hastened. Or in other words, you will see my prophecies fulfilled in a rapidly increasing succession. And I became aware that we'd see a major thing take place. And somebody would say, is there some prophecy about that? And we'd see another one, and another one, and another one, another one, another one, another one, another one. And it would just begin to snowball, rapidly increasing succession. And then I realized that things would get to the place where they would happen so fast that if people did not understand God and his plan, they would literally go right out of their mind. And as I laid there contemplating this, the last thing he said was this: many of my people will be taken unawares because they know neither the scriptures nor the plan of the kingdom. And that has been my search now for 25 years. It was December 7th, 5 o'clock in the morning of 1979. That has been my search, to really understand what the scriptures are all about and what his plan is for the kingdom. And if I had the time, and I don't now because I need to turn this over to Red Elk, but I will be working on a set of videos with Scott and interviews and so on. But it will not be my name that's on them. It will not be my name that is on them, because I don't want my name to get in the way. The identity of the person that will be on the video, this is the identity that you will see. It will not be my name. Okay? But anyway, I have been able to see the plan of creation, you know, through the scriptures from the beginning to the end. And like it says in Peter, I think it's a second or third chapter of Peter, 2 Peter I think it is, and 8th verse, where it says, be not deceived about the coming of the Lord, because a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. And so taking that, I went back and realized in the very beginning in Genesis, he said there's a new heaven and a new earth, or there's a heaven and an earth. And at the very end of Revelation, what does he say? Book of Revelation, the end of the Bible, he says a new heaven and a new earth. And so if we realize that 1,000 years with the Lord, at the very end, that Sabbath of creation, that's about 1,000 years. And so surely as we go back from the time of Genesis, and we can just about divide 1,000-year segments. Every 1,000 years there is a division of some kind. Or a man that starts a division. And the first one, of course, was Noah, born about 1,000 years after the beginning. And then there was, of course, a great division. And then another 1,000 years later, there's a man named Abraham who begins to separate. He's the cause of the separation of the Lord's people from the heathen, so to speak. And 1,000 years after that, there's a division of the house of Israel. And they divided from the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And the Jews are not, they can say Israel because they're 1/12. But the rest of Israel went to the north and west in the isles of the sea. That's what Isaiah said. And one of the places that one of the tribes came was here. And this is why when we pick up the book that Adair has, he lists about 25 ceremonies, he calls them arguments, that he saw among the people of the natives, Americans of the East. He saw 25 or more arguments. He argued for the fact that they were of the house of Israel because of all of these different ceremonies that they had and so on. So when I talked to the Cree up there, the chief says, because I mentioned a lot of names, because when the great healer came among the native tribes, each tribe he went to, he said they could use a name they wanted to. He wanted to be so personal to each individual, to each tribe. He said, you can call me what you want to. And so he finally got to some of the people in the East and says, they said, what name shall we call you? He said, you call me what you want. They were very wise. They said, what did they call you where you came from? And because of that, they called him Jesus. And but there's different names. There's Wakan, Wakia, and it goes all the way to the Hawaiian Islands, and up and down North and South America, the various names that they were called. Tarawa is another name. And so when I talked to the Cree, the chief afterwards, he said, that was very interesting, the things you called. You know what we call him? I said, what's that? He said, we Sackajak. We Sack, Isaac, Jack, Jacob. And he said, Jesus came to our people, and so did his brother James. And so, we see this tremendous oneness that is coming together in the last days. And like I told the chief, I said, and the people, I said, I'm just a messenger, because according to the prophecy, the time is going to come, there's going to be a young Indian boy, and he's going to do a tremendous work. But I said it probably will not take place until the destruction of the Gentiles. And I said, so, many of the prophecies have already been fulfilled, and the ones that are left ain't very pretty. But I said, to those who love the Lord, those who love the Creator, love the land, love the animals, love the plants, and have love for each other and love for Him, they're going to come through this. And I told the chief and the people before I left up there, I said, you have 1 year to prepare. And how well you prepare during the next year is going to determine how well you come through the time of trouble. And so since that time, and even before that time, another thing that I worked on was not only to understand the prophecies scripturally, how they fit in with the native people, how they fit into this land, this special land. And, Moses talked about the prophecies, and goes back to Jacob and Isaac. They were to be called after Isaac. The word Isaac, because the Hebrews did not pronounce the vowels. They didn't write the vowels. And so that's why they came from Isaac, Isaac's sons of Isaac, Sack's sons, and eventually Saxons, as we know. And the word Anglo had to do with the people, the people of Isaac.